Albany, Albana, Albany, Albana, na 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 na, Albany, Albana. This show was way messy. I'm Charles Rectum with my review of AEW Dynamite from Albany, New York. And I realized, looking at the date, they are just a month away from All In and 5 weeks away from All Out. And I know that they've sold a lot of tickets to Wembley Stadium. They're going to have a packed house. The crowd's going to be electric. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. And they don't even have a card announced. And then All Out, one of their flagship pay-per-views, is a week later. And then they're producing television like this. Collision, even if they've kind of settled into the groove of having a certain amount of people hang around, not as many as on Wednesdays, because Saturday nights are all right for fighting, but not necessarily for getting incredible ratings. Shows like this just make you wonder, how can this be the same company that is able to produce Collision and able to do some story arcs on this show, even if you don't really care about the stories going on? They tried to have cohesion throughout the entire night, but a lot of it was just a fucking mess. Anyway, so yeah, about 4,000 people at MVP Arena, and according to Google searches, 17,000 seat capacity. Ouch. Ouch. I know Khan's got all kinds of money. This is just a hobby to him. He wants to make this big. And they're doing great as far as money they earn for their television program. And they're doing well. But the attendances for their shows across the board are not good for their television programs. Anyway, so we get a card rundown and a Darby and AR Fox package. Okay, speaking of AR Fox, I'm going to say to one particular friend of mine, they know who they are, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. So this whole reason they did the Darby and AR Fox, okay, I'll stop doing that. This package is Darby packed up his car, moved from Seattle to Atlanta to train, to get better. AR Fox found out he was sleeping in his car and said, no, you're going to come live with me, help out, and you'll be able to return the favor to somebody, but I see potential in you. So from that, we got Darby last week saying, hey, Orange Cassidy, give my friend a shot. Okay. So they had the match. It's for the AEW International Object Championship. 7 minutes in, the bell rings. AR Fox is not bad in the ring. I have seen all I care to see with Orange Cassidy, and I don't care. The Mousetrap won it. We were 20 minutes into the program. And then afterwards, Fox has the glasses on and everything, and then he breaks the glasses and blasts Orange Cassidy because he's pissed. But then he's like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. And then he's trying to leave, and Darby's confronting him, what the hell? You need to get back in there. What the hell's going on here? You shouldn't have done that. I got you this shot. I know you're a good guy. Why would you do this? And then Moxley attacks Orange Cassidy and then leaves. See, if Mox wasn't doing all the weapon stuff and I wasn't so annoyed with all the, the bleeding and just the insanity of him not wanting to mix that in with wrestling because he actually isn't that bad in the ring, I wouldn't mind stuff like this. He beat up Orange Cassidy and he left. That was fine. Blood and Guts package. I would like to reference my Dynamite review from last week, and you guys can figure out how I felt about that. Renee's with Callis. Run, Renee, run. He is around women. And Chris Jericho. So, basically, who is going to, is Jericho going to join the Don Callis, not Bobby Heenan family? There's going to be a tag match with Konosuke Takeshita against Garcia and Sammy. Oh no, Jericho's going to be conflicted, going against his old friends. Also, there's a giant painting with Don Callis wishing that he looked half as good as that on his best day. And Jericho and Bad News Allen, who is not in heaven, he's down there in hell. And then here's Hook on getting ready to take a subway. Then the title's gone after it passes, the FTW title. And then Hook is gone. So Hook will be back at some point. And then here's Claudio and Yuta with a PSA. Claudio says, don't mess with fire. Seal's like, thanks, bitches. You could have told me that before. That was mean. What's wrong with Seal? Why did I do that? And also, you don't mess with us. And Pac, we're going to come after you. And then here's Mox. He says, basically, y'all are going to get your asses kicked. I mean, again, if I hadn't been so turned off by this entire, to this entire group after seeing Blood and Guts, I probably would be more into this. But nevertheless, here's Shivani. He brings out Jack Perry. Beethoven's Fifth. It was a fine stop, stop theme, but really we couldn't have come up with something else in a week. And then basically he says he has an I Beat Hook shirt and he's making the FTW title relevant and that he would have run circles around everybody in ECW saying that to Taz without saying ECW. So here's Jerry Lynn, who I always forget is backstage agent there, and had some incredible matches with RVD and was great in ECW and really very underappreciated. And I hate the fact that he never got to be that WWE never bothered to really feature him. They had him for like a year and never bothered to really feature him all that well. And we paved the way, etc. How about I kick your ass? If you keep talking like that, you're going to get your ass kicked. And Jack says, I'm not dressed to fight, but how about next week? Jerry Lynn has a fused neck or neck surgeries of some variety and had to retire a number of years ago. That being said, we're going to get a face-off. I don't know what ECW original comes out. Hey, can they get Dreamer or Bully Ray away from Impact? Because that's what this show needs. So, then Renee is with Britt. She is the face of the women's division, which definitely explains why it's booked so badly and why it's so messy often, all due respect to the talented women. And that she's excited to face Ty in the first time match that they're going to have. Okay, why is Gravity in a spacesuit? Oh, because he's going out there. One small step for man, one giant leap for Lucha kind. And he even does a spacewalk like this, and I hate it. I don't know anything about Gravity, except he faced Pac. And remember when Pac was Neville? Because he was the man that Gravity forgot. We're going to hit you over the head with that goddamn joke, and that's what they did. 20 minutes between matches, by the way. When did AEW turn into a remake of Mucha Lucha? What the hell is going on here? Commander, who I'm sure is fine and a nice guy, really doesn't mean anything. And now we got Gravity. We got this guy that... He's like if Axiom was less charismatic. He does the spacewalk after running around and doing a couple moves. The slow-mo walk. And then Forget Me Not, and Pac's beating him. Pac eventually ends up hitting, Avalanche Brainbuster and gets the Brutalizer, gets the victory. That was a match. And then MJF and Cole are talking about FTR. MJF knocks Cash and then Dax and made Renee crack with the impression. That was kind of funny. And Cole says, Max, this was about championships in the game, but now you become one of my best friends. And then generic white guy jumps in, a.k.a. Roderick Strong. I can't help it. That's what MJF calls him. And says, you can't believe him. You can't believe him. This should end with all of them being a trio. And Cole even found out from MJF. He says, you know what? Win, lose, or draw, you'll get another shot at the championship. They almost got me convinced that MJF's not going to smash Cole in the face of the Diamond Ring. Because if they win the tag titles, cool. But I think after that 2 out of 3 falls match FTR had, you have to keep the titles on them. So I don't know how you get out of this. Unless you have Roderick Strong come down and accidentally cost them the match. And then Cole blasts Strong in the face. And then we get a pairing. But I think we're probably going to get MJF blasting Cole. And they'll just get it to be believable enough. Maybe. Kind of. Sort of. And then he says to Roderick Strong, boundaries. You're pushing me away. You're tearing me apart, Roddy. Why are you yelling? So then FTR promo. They knock MJF. Everybody, including your fiance, left you. He's got a cat. He's all right. And he's a great wrestler. He'll be all right. And then Dax basically says, we're going to have to beat you to prove something. I do love my wife. I do love my daughter, professional wrestling, all that. And then we get to Darby with Nick Wayne in his corner against Swerve with Prince Na in his corner. It's pretty much a highlight of the goddamn show. They stole the show and it was petty theft. Defy Revisited. I saw this at Defy show. Thankfully they didn't bust out the tax like they did at that Defy show. To shock of no one, this was well worked. Darby ends up taking a house call off the steps, you know, that pop kick that Swerve does. Fucking goddamn Rick Knox is a referee. Of course, he's ruining everything. He didn't hear because Darby and Swerve can work around it. Darby crashes on a dive and then gets hit doing the cannonball when Swerve hits the knee. And a DVD on the apron. Why? Genuinely, why? They don't really need to be doing this. And then suddenly the referee's distracted because Prince Nana is tangled with Nick Wayne. And then a hooded guy attacks Darby. Gee, who could that have possibly been? It couldn't have been somebody that Darby yelled at an hour ago. Oh, it was A.R. Fox. Yeah, the whatever driver. Swerve gets the victory. It's A.R. Fox. And then Nick Wayne got knocked out with the skateboard. It was what it was. Well, that's a hell of a member. That was Taz talking about A.R. Fox being a new member of the embassy, but that's what he said. Well, that's a hell of a member. All right. Gee, Taz, just tip your hand as to how you really feel. Then the Jericho appreciators are all backstage, and Ty Conte, I wish her nothing but the best for the pregnancy. Hope her and Sammy are happy. I have no desire to watch Ty on my television. Anna Jay, though, sweet goddamn Christ. We spent all this time appreciating you, but you didn't appreciate us. This is high school drama bullshit. So, yeah, who knows what's going to happen? Who cares? Collision, 6-man recast, Billy's retirement. Look, if Billy Gunn is actually hanging it up, he's had a hell of a goddamn career. Had a resurgence. I don't blame him if he wants to retire. Britt and Taya, for the first time ever in, well, I love Taya Valkyrie. Oh, dear. Britt has had good matches on occasion. Britt wrestles like she's afraid to get hit. She has been wrestling since 2015. If she is this bad after, yeah, she's had injuries. She's had that stuff. She does dentistry work. I get it. Get that she wants to have 2 careers. Pick one of them. If you go do dentistry, if you can't even look like you're halfway coherent, like you maybe don't you like have your brainstem like detaching as we speak or something. I just like Taya is not the absolute best in the world, but I like Taya Valkyrie. She has had good to great matches more often than not, and she is better than this. And she was doing everything she could. She tried to do something where it's like Britt didn't go up for something and just plopped. And then Taya's trying to rain elbows down on her, and then they go to break. And then we got a Northern Lights for 2. We got a Panama Sunrise, sort of. I mean, the sun barely came up over the horizon before ducking back down because it was embarrassed. And then a roll out of the Road to Valhalla and a lockjaw for the win. And Taya was even like, God, that was shit. And I don't blame Taya for being upset. I could kind of sense that she was upset. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know. I'm not a fucking mind reader. I'd be upset. Britt Baker being the face of this women's division, it ain't working. It ain't working. She can be a manager or something. That was bad. That was really, really bad. And then we get Nyla and Shida doing a couple pre-tapes. Nyla and Shida on Rampage feels like I hate crime. I understand that they have Rampage and they want to try to dress it up. But you couldn't have shortened a couple matches on this show and had that match on there? Give them 7 minutes? Maybe 9 at the most? Would have been fine. The Hardys are back. They got Jeff Hardy back, and gee, I can't imagine why he wasn't around for a while, but oh yeah, he can't go to Canada because he's a screw-up. And yeah, they're going to Scorpio Sky versus Chris Sabin. Chris Sabin. I don't think Chris Sabin's wrestling. No, it's Kip Sabian. And then the Kingdom are in action. I'm not going to review Rampage, but you know what? A Battle Royal. Oh boy, after they had a 2-ring Battle Royal in the last Rampage. Let's do a tag team Battle Royal. More Battle Royals. Yum, yum, yum. Dynamite 200 in Tampa next week. And the tag team entrances for the 3-way match. It's Mox and Claudio of the BCC against the Best Friends, against the Lucha Bros. And oh boy, it's a jump start and a melee, and Cassidy runs down to attack Mox because he attacked him earlier. So again, storyline cohesion, but none of the storylines really matter. And then a fear factor on Trent, 1, 2, 3. Then a melee afterwards. And then it's going to be Mox versus Trent versus Penta in an anything goes match. And yay! I'm going to keep reviewing Dynamite. This is not a good episode. I'm sorry, this is not. Last week's episode wasn't all that great either, but this felt like they were just like, hey, let's just look at a bad episode of Thunder and let's just do that. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description, Twitter handle even, Twatter handle, Twitter handle is run by a twat, I'll say that much. Anyway, I'm John Retlin, I'll see you soon.